everyone. I welcome you to today's edition of Parenting in Diaspora. The title of today's episode is What Every Child Wants Every Father to Know. And to do this program, I have these two wonderful gentlemen beside me. My husband, my sweetheart, the father of our children, and my beloved father, 86 years strong. And I have them with me because I do believe that my father is the greatest dad that anyone could ever have, and my husband is the greatest dad that our children could have. Now, you will remember that the last episode I did was the 10 powerful ways that mothers influence their children. Now, because of the very important role that God has given to fathers, fathers need to play those 10 roles that we talked about plus more. So the last episode we talked about, mothers should pray with their children, nurture their children, encourage their children, believe in their children. Yes, fathers are expected to do all of that. Fathers can wipe the children's tears with their kisses too. So fathers do all that plus more. So it's the plus more that we're talking about today. So this video is in two parts. In the first part, I'm going to ask questions. I have two questions that I'm going to pose to my husband and my father, and we'll listen to their responses. And then part two is going to be the result of the survey that I put out to some young people about fathers. So listen in, and hope you have a good time. My first question is, what did you do that you think helped in your parenting, and what advice would you give to parents? I'm going to start with that.
The fact that there are some lessons that children need to learn while they are growing up, and which fathers need to be intentional in teaching these children. The first is obedience. Then you have humility. Then self-control. And then to be resilient. Resilient, yes. And then, I think I mentioned humility. Mm-hmm. And then they need to appreciate the adult guidance in their lives. And I think I mentioned self-control also.
So you said fathers should be intentional in passing and teaching these values.
Right, that's right.
Okay.
And in that wise, I want to thank God that we, and I don't mind if I say we here, because I actually did whatever I did in consultation with your mom. And so I think it's very important that we direct the children to know God right from the very beginning, and then to actually teach them moral and spiritual lessons. We tried a lot to actually make communication easy for our children by having traditional family meetings at least twice a year. Then as a father, I was not really too strong in forcing my way in your choice of careers, if you remember. And we also insisted that for each of you, before you ever think of going abroad, you needed to have a first degree at home before making a trip abroad, for obvious reasons, just in case it becomes impossible to really achieve that goal while you are away. And also, we try to get involved in the lives of each one of you. Although I want to give due credit to your mom, because I think she did a lot more of that, because she had her own business and she had a little more time than I had in actually doing this. And these were some of the things that we actually did while you were. And I think also that we also tried to model these things to you. We just didn't teach you the theory. We try to make these things practical so that the lessons really should get through quite rightly.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dan.
Well, before even I start answering to that, I want to thank God for the opportunity to be invited as a guest speaker on this channel. I've been actually looking forward to this time, but I did not make my expectation known to my wife. So it's a pleasure to be on this YouTube channel. And let me just start by saying that there are a few things that I know that I'm strong at, and that actually begins with having the mindset of prevention. It looks like I was subconsciously logged in the mode of prevention, so that actually has driven me in a lot of things that I've done in terms of assisting and working together with my wife so that we can have a good outcome in the way we raise our children. And so I have been motivated by the mindset of looking at things from preventive aspect. One of those things that I've done is make sure that we discipline our children out of love, and we train them in a way to restore them in terms of the discipline that we give them, and also to explain to them the reason for the discipline. I think we have done very well in terms of combining our love for the children with the way we discipline them. We did not hold back love for them, and we did not hold back discipline from the children. So there were expectations for the children, and they were aware of that. There is also the idea of tough love, which we also demonstrated to them. We were not waiting for any validation from our children in terms of whether we want to become their friends, because we always made sure that there's a role for friendship and there is a time for friendship in the family, but as parents, our role is even more of a sacred one than just wanting the approval of our children. So we demonstrated and expressed this kind of tough love through self-sacrifice as well as delayed gratification. There were certain things that we wanted to do, but for the sake of the children, we decided that we were not going to do it. There were shows that we enjoyed watching way back when they were very young, but because it takes so much time away from more valuable things, we sacrifice the time and we show them what is more important. In terms of recognizing the strength and the abilities of the children, I don't know whether I personally did as well as I should have done, but I know that our children have different abilities, and we try to channel them through the lines of their abilities. Just like Daddy said earlier, we did not impose our wishes in terms of career development for our children. In fact, our two older children who went into the line of medicine, they will remember that I was actually telling them that if they're getting into the field of medicine because of money, they will be making a lot of mistakes. In fact, I tried to dissuade them rather than encourage them, but they were so determined on their own, and God be the glory. They are both medical doctors right now, and we thank God for that. But that was not something that we pushed on them. So basically, those were some of the things that we do, and I'm sure that as the session goes along, I might still remember some other things.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you both very much. My second question, given another opportunity, what would you have done differently? In other words, What regrets do you have in your parenting? I'll start with that again.
Well, it happened that I was actually a workaholic uh, as a worker back in those days, and I know your mother always reminded me about that. But because of the nature of my work, I was actually the high school principal for a mission school, which was completely fully boarding with a 24/7 kind of assignment, and it wasn't quite easy not to be that zealous. I remember once when your sister at age 8, I remember I came from school at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I had my lunch, and here was I going back again at about 5 o'clock, and she said, "Daddy, are you going again?" And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, I just have to." Now, that's, I think, is something that I regret right now. The second one was that I really should have maybe had a little bit more interest in the choice of careers for you. I did science, and your mother, you remember, is a registered nurse. And so a lot of people thought that maybe all our children should be doctors. But as far as I was concerned, I left it entirely to each of you to make up your mind what you really wanted to do. But I now see that maybe I could have, gave some kind of direction to this selection of individual courses for you. Now, this too, I think I would do differently if I had a second chance.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Well, from our own point of view, since we actually started raising our children, we started having our children here in the United States, what I would have loved to have done differently is in the area of assuming things rather than just correcting the children, expecting that they know exactly what to do.
Give an example.
Yeah, okay. I will give an example because, for instance, we expect in our community back home where we were raised, respect is way high up there. For example, I will be sweeping around the house, and sometimes the children will just walk past me. And I will remember maybe before I really became self-aware of what I was doing, I probably would have just slapped them on the side, thinking that, didn't you see me? Don't you know that you needed to pick up the broom and sweep? And so in that area, I did not do well enough. It was later that I started understanding that if you do not make your expectation clear and you do not teach these children, and they are not in the environment where they see this kind of thing being taught in the nurturing area, we should not hold them responsible for what you have not taught them. So I could do better in that. And another area is in the area of patience. I know that I could be a little more patient with them in terms of my expectation. At the same time, I remember when I was teaching the children how to drive, I was a little bit hard on them, and what I could have done better was to explain the reason behind my action or my impatience with them. The children were so eager to learn to drive. They were so eager to have their driver's license. But at the same time, I was not thinking that way. I was thinking that I want to train them to be the best and the safest drivers. And so they were so eager to drive, and they would make a lot of mistakes, and I would be mad with them and be short with them in my correction. But what I could have done better was to share with them my real primary emotion at that point, that, oh, I'm thinking about danger. I'm thinking about the fact that we don't have a whole lot of money to be repairing cars that you're going to hit on the rock or by the roadside and things like that. And it did not come out as positively as it could have come out. So in a nutshell, I think those two I would do better.
Okay. So, fathers, there you have it. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for part 2.